It might work for one athlete, but it's not going to work for the other. So for me, like if we're banging our head against the wall in my event area, trying the same thing over and over, I might say it a different way, or somebody else says it, and it just kind of clicks for them. So and I think just the workouts, and we'll talk about this, are a little fluid too. I mean, like I do my workouts each week, but one day they look like crap. I mean, they don't look good, so we deviate from that a little bit. It doesn't have to be set in stone. You got to be able to maneuver it, depending on how your athletes are. So maybe the previous day put a little bit more stress on them than you thought it. So
I know somebody mentioned the other day when we were sitting down that how long will you train your athletes and so forth. And like I mentioned that it all depends on the season and where you're at, especially when we get in season. I write workouts, but a lot of time I coach with my eyes and count how they feel and so forth, and I kind of have them do certain things, certain exercises pertaining to how they feel on a day-to-day basis, rather than saying, this is the workout, you gotta do this, you gotta you gotta stick with this. Sometimes that's just being foolish.
Do you allow feedback, or you say that's what I see and you do it, or do you allow feedback on from the athletes?
If you're an educated coach and you know why you're doing what you're doing, even the freshmen, they'll give you feedback. I always felt like that if somebody asked me, why am I doing this, coach? You can't say, oh, because South Carolina does it.
Yeah.
I think you have to have a reason.
Yeah.
And if you can't give them a reason, then first of all, why are you doing it? I mean, sometimes you do things because it worked for other people, but it has to fit into your overall.
Like example.
A lot of, I think in my country, like a lot of coaches or parents who train their athletes, they take from internet, they Google like example training of Usain Bolt, and maybe that's true. 7 days of his training, it's maybe someone really was with him and wrote, but it's not written what Usain Bolt did 2-3 years before and what Usain Bolt did to recover from that training.
Right.
So if you take 7 days, it's
not applicable.
But if you're basing that, if whoever's Usain Bolt, he's the best that's ever been.
Yeah, that's
so what
people
he's
want.
doing, a kid can't do. We're gonna get hurt, and it's just not gonna work.
One of the things that I always like to answer when you ask about leadership style and the way, the philosophy of coaching, I think I look at it as one of the main roles that I play as a coach is a facilitator. So, you're trying to help an individual and a group of individuals achieve a goal, and you help facilitate that to happen. And part of that is the training and the actual physical work, and part of that's the actual emotional and psychological work that you do with them. And then part of that is the example that you do. So it's, to me, facilitating them towards a goal. You can't do it for them, so you can't achieve for them, but you facilitate towards what they're trying to do. And I think I like thinking of my job as that way, is everything we're doing is trying to get closer to the end result of the goals from our program to the individual athletes program, goals, and help facilitate that process.